Very good evening. How are you doing?
Absolutely fine.
Thanks for joining us over video call. I'm sure you're very busy with all your routine and the COVID things and the crisis, managing the whole institute such wonderfully. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah, tough times, but yes, we're
yes,
trying to do what we can.
right. I'm very much curious to know about how IIM Indore is managing this COVID-19 crisis as everything is locked down. Students must be at their homes. So how you are putting everything still in a one lane?
Yeah, so I would look at it from two perspectives, the academic and the administrative,
Right.
since I have to look at both and not just the academic part. So
Right.
if I look at the academic part, we have classes which were there for the IPM, the Integrated Program in Management, for the undergraduate students.
Okay.
So the students in the first 3 years, they still have their classes on. So
Okay.
all of those classes have been shifted online, and those classes are going on, and thankfully, fingers crossed, without a hitch.
Oh, great.
So that, yeah, so that transition has been excellent. The
Mhm.
second thing which we needed to address was the issue of exams. So having online classes is one thing, but
Mhm.
doing the exams is another. So as we speak,
Mhm.
my team of 2-3 people, along with the dean programs, is actually evaluating multiple platforms
Mhm.
who conduct exams online with a proctoral support.
Okay.
So that is the exam part. The third part, which is partially academic and partially administrative, are the entrance tests. So
Right.
we were supposed to have, so there are two,
Mhm.
close to 40 to 50% of our interviews are still left so
Mhm.
far as our PGP is concerned.
Right.
And therefore, we are going to look at the online options of interviewing now.
Mhm.
And we have formulated a plan wherein in the next 2 weeks, probably even before that, we will start with online interviews for
Mhm.
the remaining candidates.
Okay.
And the second part is our IPM admission test,
Mhm.
which we have as of now postponed indefinitely. But at some point of time, we will need to conduct that test.
Right.
So that is something that we are going to probably decide on the fly. So
Mhm.
once the lockdown is lifted, or rather, you know, we don't know whether it's going to be lifted or not. But
Yeah.
let's say on the 13th, when the situation becomes clearer, then
Mhm.
we are going to take a call about the new date for the IPM admission test.
Okay. Okay.
And the final thing that we need to think on is when do we start the classes? Because the first years who are doing their summer internship, some of the summer internships haven't started because the companies are still in the wait and watch mode. So we
Right.
might have to push the entire academic schedule
Okay.
by three to
Done.
four weeks. So that is one aspect which is academic or related to academic. The
Right.
second is administrative aspect. So although most of the students have gone home, we
Mhm.
still have doctoral students, and we still have about 15, 16 odd students apart from the doctoral students who are still in the campus
Mhm.
because they couldn't leave by the time. Some of them also had problems because their parents were not at home, so they didn't have anywhere to go to.
Right.
And following the directives of the government that everyone should stay put wherever they are. So
Mhm.
we have these students who are still in the campus. And then, of course, I have about 150 families in the campus which need to be taken care of.
Right.
And this is
Hello.
employees and specialized. And therefore, now we have to get them in. And so I have to make do with the bare minimum staff that we have on the campus.
Okay.
And that, you know, affects a lot of things. How do I manage groceries for everyone? How
Hmm.
do I manage the amenities? How do I manage the work like housekeeping, cleaning,
Exactly. I think
serving in
that's
mess,
one
and
of the
so forth?
biggest challenges everyone is facing down the line.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but we are doing things. We have managed to create some kind of a balance, and we have managed to also create certain resources
Hmm.
from within the community. So we
Right.
are addressing all of these issues.
Right. Sir, how you're managing class on a very regular basis, as might everyone won't have such good internet. Might they will be connecting over phones where there 2G connections, or So, what platform you're using, and what do you suggest other institutes should do?
So, you see, I have two suggestions. One is that our experience with Zoom has been pretty good.
Okay.
Now, I'm talking about the Zoom business version, but of course, every business school or every school for that matter,
Mhm.
every institution have their own budgets. So
Right.
they'll have to look at what works within their budget. So,
Mhm.
of course, you have other tools like Skype, you have GoTo,
Mhm.
and multiple other platforms. For us, after evaluating all the platforms, we settled down on Zoom, and it
Mhm.
is working fairly well for us. In fact, we also tried out even with 2G. If the
Okay.
person switches off the video,
Mhm.
then the person can actually attend the classes. And I think Zoom also gives you that added advantage of sharing the screen and making sure that you can mute
That,
everyone, or you can
that's
actually control the class to a large extent.
good.
So what I will suggest to the other business schools or other institutions for
Mhm.
that matter is that they should evaluate whatever is there and then see things at two levels. One, what is it that they can afford,
Right.
and what is it that they're willing to pay? And the second, what is it that they're comfortable with?
Right.
Because some people are not very comfortable if there are too many options available. And
Mhm.
then they tend to underutilize
Right.
that particular platform. So if you're going to underutilize that platform, maybe you don't need it at all.
Mhm.
So these are the two things that I would ask the institutions to look at. And the third, and which is an extremely important thing, and this is for people who are going to teach, so for the faculty, is
Right.
that please understand, when you teach online,
Mhm.
you don't teach exactly the same material the same way as you did in an offline class.
Right. Right.
Online is a separate pedagogical tool. So you can't use the same PowerPoint. You can't use the same methodology. You can't use the same pedagogy because this is a separate pedagogical tool. So
Right.
many people try to use the same material and then try to fit in somehow. So, for example, if you have a very lengthy case and you're used to using case method, in
Mhm.
that case, an online platform is not going to be very useful because the richness of the case comes from discussions.
Mhm.
You cannot have those many discussions. At best, you can have one or two people speaking, but
Right.
most of the people probably be typing in
Mhm.
their comments and all. So you have to make sure that whatever you are speaking and whatever the way you are responding to the people, to the students who are asking questions, you
Mhm.
are also responding the same way to the students who are asking you questions through the chat box.
Right.
So you have to manage both the things.
Okay.
And second, again, remember that if you are prepared for a 75-minute class, considering that you have to answer a lot of questions which are there in the chat box as well, considering that there could be some technical outages, considering that there could be some other restraints or constraints,
Mhm.
this 75-minute, you may not be able to complete it. So
Hmm.
my suggestion to them would be what you would normally do in a 60-minute classroom.
Right.
That is the material, and that is what you should come with for a 75-minute online session.
Because there will be discussion session. Students must
There
be.
would be, because there are two categories of discussion. In a classroom, you have discussions where a person is speaking and you're responding to the person, or
Right.
there's a discussion in the peer group. Here, you will lose some time because many a times multiple people start speaking at the same time.
Mhm.
So for you to actually control this flow of discussion, number one, and at the same time, there are multiple people who are also typing in the chat boxes. So you
Exactly.
have to keep an eye there as well. And therefore, you will end up spending more time in
Right.
an online session as compared to an offline session.
Offline session. Right. So what IIM Indore has in mind about internships, as we all know, is the time of internship for the students.
Yeah.
So, are you planning to extend those internship maybe once the lockdown is open, or so forth, or any other plan? Like it may be offline. Sorry, it may be in a virtual mode. Students can do the internship, or any other. What possibilities you have in your own mind?
So that is not something that we can answer because all our students have a summer internship offer from companies. So some
Okay.
of the companies, so it depends on the companies as to what are they going to do next. So
Mhm.
there are some companies who have actually already started the
Right.
summer internship, and they've started it in an offline mode. In fact, there are some companies who actually made sure that they got their personal as in the company's laptops delivered to the students
Oh, great.
at their place.
Mm.
Yeah, because of data privacy, etc., data
Correct.
privacy issues, they wanted to make sure that the data stays with the person, and they did not want to exchange it through email or some such thing.
Right.
There are some companies who have actually postponed, who have actually deferred the internship.
Mm.
And there are a couple of companies who have actually re-signed the offer. They have revoked the offer. So whenever the offer is getting revoked by any company, then the student placement committee, because in IIMs, the both internship, at least at IIM Indore, and in most of the older IIMs, both summer internship and the final placements are actually student driven.
Okay.
The faculty plays a very minimal role, and the administration plays a minimal role of facilitating things. So, as the only role where we come in is that internship is a necessary component
Okay.
so far as our academics are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And as of now, IIM Indore, for example, has 8 weeks of internship as a necessary component.
Right.
Now, going ahead, what we are going to do is, and one of the things that we do is that if a person that cannot get an internship, let's say in such circumstances, the person can actually do a research internship with a faculty member.
Okay.
And that, of course, can happen in an offline mode. But there are two other issues that we are going to grapple with. So some of the companies have actually told us,
Mm-hmm.
both formally and informally, that they would want to start, but they would want to start perhaps a little late, maybe in the first week of May.
Right.
And since our second year starts from about the mid of June, they are
Mm-hmm.
requesting us to postpone
Okay.
our academic calendar. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing that we are looking at. So if at all we believe that that is going to help the students as well as the organizations,
Right.
we will postpone our academic calendar by a couple of weeks. And the second thing that we are looking at is that we can also reduce
Mm-hmm.
this duration, which is something which is in our hands. So instead of saying that it is an 8 week necessarily of compulsory internship, we can probably reduce it to 6 weeks. But
Right.
as of now, we are still sticking to 8 weeks, as well as sticking to what our scheduled calendar is. But as I said, as the situation unfolds, we are willing to do everything that will benefit our students.
Right. Right. So, do you think it's altogether going to affect the placements of the students in the campus?
See, there will be some impact. There is no way I can make a claim that our students are not going to get impacted for the simple reason that the organizations are going to get impacted.
Exactly.
So I know that there's a certain organization, it was out in the newspaper. Uh, I think it was yesterday itself that one of the organizations has actually withdrawn its offer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is happening currently is that the placement chairs
Mm-hmm.
of the at least the older IIMs, they are in touch with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they are trying to devise some kind of a strategy to address this issue.
Right.
Of course, the first thing that we would want is to send a request to the companies saying that do not take back offers. You may want to defer the joining date, etc., or you may want to start online work from home
Right.
kind of a
Right.
thing. At least the induction process can be done, from home itself.
Mm-hmm.
The part of the training that happens can be done at the home itself through online media, etc. However, despite all of this, I'm sure that some organizations, and I completely understand, may be compelled to take back some of the offers. So there, I said, our student placement committee will again swing into action
Mm-hmm.
and then try to provide them with alternative offers.
Right. 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 Yes, I think you have planned many things of the upcoming future if lockdown opens at a particular date or it may extend. So that's a great. One last.
Absolutely. See, but one of the things that we need to understand is that our priorities need to be very, very clear. Like, when the prime minister said that jaan hai to jahan hai.
जी
So the
बिल्कुल.
first priority has to be that we live. The other priority has to be that we live healthily, which means I want all my students to be safe. And of course, I understand that economic priority is an extremely important priority because you cannot obviously live if you don't have enough resources. but we must at least ensure that our safety and health has to take precedence over this matter. This matter will be important, extremely important, and we are going to address it for sure.
True. Sir, as I'm a very big fan of yours and a follower of you, as you are very grounded with the roots. You are connected with your roots. You are following yoga. You're a master of Sanskrit. So, in this tough time, how you're seeing it into positive way? What maybe feel related to faculty or any other person all across the India? What message you would love to give them?
See, first of all, thank you very much, Sujata, for those extremely kind words. You see, every cloud has a silver lining. And in fact, in one of my podcasts, I actually spoke about it. So, the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, with all its uthal puthal and the chaos that it has, the havoc that it has wreaked upon the earth, there are certain opportunities. So, every calamity actually has certain opportunities hidden inside it. First opportunity, as I see, is for people, and especially from a faculty perspective as well as student perspective, who were still not open to online modes,
Right.
are now opening up. So you're learning a new pedagogical tool. You're actually practicing a new pedagogical tool. Likewise, with students, you are learning through a different mode, and
Right.
therefore there is a heightened appreciation as to how technology can be used in such times,
Right.
or times which are similar. So that is the first opportunity that I see in this. The second opportunity that I see, as you mentioned, that I happen to be a yoga student and a teacher. I mean, irrespective, a teacher is always a student. You can never be a teacher without being a student for your life. So I teach yoga, and what I see is that this is also an opportunity for people to now start exercising and learning new things. So, for example, a lot of people in other times would have said that, hey, I had this to do and I had that to do, and therefore I was distracted. Now, when you're home, you don't have any distractions at all. So now's the time for you to practice, for you to pick up different kinds of exercises, or for you to pick up different kinds of hobbies which you had not practiced. So
Right.
to me, that is the second opportunity which I uh, exhort everyone should use. So pick up, and I'm not saying pick up yoga. I mean, yoga works for me. I love yoga. But there are several other things you can pick up. You can pick up Pilates, you can pick up freehand exercises. If you don't have any gym equipment in your house, you can do something with free, I mean, without any weights, etc. You can start dancing. So you can figure out as to what works for you. And the third thing is the hobby. You can pick up a hobby, and you can pick up such a hobby which actually includes other people in the family as well.
Right.
Because, and therein lies the fourth opportunity. Now, whether we like it or not, we are with some people in a house. You may not like all of them, and but this is the time. This is the perfect time to rebuild those bonds,
Right.
because I see that many of my students have lived a large part of their lives in hostels, or at least a large part of the past 7, 8 odd years. Now, this is the time for them to strengthen and remake the bonds with their parents, with their other family members, with their siblings, etc. Repair the bonds if at all there was a problem. So I see this as an opportunity, and to get to know each other better as people. And the final opportunity that I see is that, you see, most of the people who would be listening to this particular interview of ours are likely to be the people who are more privileged than many, many others in this country and in this world. And therefore, here's an opportunity for people to do their bit. So, for example, I said, so you and I can possibly live off this kind of a pandemic, because we might have some savings which we can use probably for the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, maybe 2 years, depending on how good we are in managing our financials. But there are many more who actually depend on their daily earnings, your daily wages, your daily wagers, your domestic help, your drivers, the person who puts that cart outside your house or outside your building, your society complex, so on and so forth. So this is the time when you can actually help those people.
Right. Great.
And therefore, uh, create some kind of an awareness, create some kind of a volunteers group, and try to do something for people who are not as privileged as we are.
Right. Very good thought. Even we around the people are also working upon it. So I'm sure you will be doing the same there at the campus and around in Indore.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We are trying to help in multiple ways. And one of the great things that has happened in our campus, so, this is something I should share with you because this could be useful for some of the other institutions as well who have a campus with residents, etc. So, what we realized was since we are working with almost 1/4 of the staff that we need to actually run this campus, because
Right,
irrespective of the fact whether we have people or not, we need those staff. We need
right.
the buildings to be clean, we need the roads to be clean, we need the mess to be functional, we need to feed people. And therefore I realized that the staff which is there currently is obviously a little more overloaded than they would be under normal circumstances. So I put a call out for volunteers, and much to my delight, several people came and volunteered. So I have lots of faculty, staff, academic associates, and some students who volunteer to water the plants. They're
Oh,
taking care of the gardens. They're sweeping the roads. They're sweeping the buildings. They're collecting garbage from different houses and putting it in a central place so that our workload gets reduced. And just taking a step forward, what I did was that yesterday, day before yesterday, on Sunday, I gave the day off to all of those employees who had been working so far.
so-
And the entire work was taken over by volunteers. So,
oh, that's
starting right from cleaning the roads to cleaning the buildings to sweeping the floor to serving in the dining hall to cleaning the tables to even security duties,
oh,
the entire day was done by us so that these people, all of the people who had been
okay.
working so far, can rejuvenate
Right.
and get back to work. So I think this is a time when you can also try out some things like this also brings people together. So people were actually happy coming together and doing this because they found that this was something which was very fulfilling.
I'm sure the last thing you mentioned is really inspiring, and it must help others to get inspired from it and follow the same. So, what do you think of EduVoice as an initiative?
I think EduVoice is a very good initiative for two reasons. One is that you're trying to do something which is different. So you have lots of platforms who essentially give you data, and some of them give you some information. But here, EduVoice, you're also bringing in perspectives. And that is one thing that I like about what EduVoice is trying to do. And the second thing that I like is the diversity of the perspectives that is being brought in. So, if I were to look at EduVoice as a medium, I really don't need to be a student. I really don't need to be a business school student. In fact, anyone uh, can just go onto your site, and I'm sure there'll be some learning or something of value to be taken away from the person.
Thank you so much, sir.